Growing up, I had a voracious need to prove what was right and what was wrong. In my mind, absolutely everything was up for debate. I fed off the thrill of it. And anytime we had a game night, that was my time to shine. If we were playing categories, just know that for actively every answer somebody gave, I was coming up with a way to challenge it. And to be totally transparent, I never fully grew out of that knee-jerk urge to debate. I am going to law school in the fall, so I guess you can say I found my calling. But back to what I was saying. I didn't just love to argue, I loved being right. And to me, winning an argument meant that I had won the truth. End of story. But as I got older, I started to realize, and this isn't going to be shocking to you guys, I may have been winning arguments, but I most definitely was not winning people. So think about it. How many times have you guys walked away from an argument that you supposedly won, only to feel like later on maybe you lost something more important? Maybe the relationship felt a little bit off afterwards, or maybe you found yourself wondering if you even cared about what you were arguing over in the first place. Worse, if the supposed truth that was at stake even mattered. And that happened to me one too many times before I realized I needed a new approach. One that didn't necessarily subtract feelings from the equation, but one that created space for a deeper and more important variable. So here's my proposition to all of you guys today. What if we shifted our pursuit of the truth into a pursuit of understanding instead? Now, to do this, we are going to need some form of a framework, something that allows us to frame understanding not just as a stepping stone to the truth, but as a way to actually connect with the people that we are talking to. Because at the end of the day, that connection with these people is what matters. And for me, my journey to discovering this framework came from a surprisingly unexpected place. As an undergraduate student, I decided to go into STEM. I chose science because it was neat, it was clean, and it made sense. Specifically, I chose biological sciences because to me, in my limited 18-year-old black and white thinking, I was convinced it was the perfect escape from life's complexity. It was data-driven, it was logical, and it was rigid. I knew that cells had mitochondria, I knew that water was H2O, and I knew that Pluto was a planet until it wasn't. So, turns out science isn't as absolute as we had all once thought. But don't worry, I'm going to pause this right here and just let you guys know that I will not be dissecting the intricate methodologies of scientists with any actual technicality. I'm going to law school, definitely not med school. I thought I was for a bit, but we changed paths. I used to think for the longest time that the real purpose of any argument, or really any search for knowledge, was to find the truth, to land on and cling onto it like I had found a trophy. But let's be honest. You do not find the truth by clinging to certainty. You find it by staying open to understanding, to listening to new perspectives, listening to new ideas, and taking on new approaches. In other words, the truth is never something you're going to find. It's just something that you are going to continually refine. And nobody understands this better than scientists. In science, they don't treat the truth as a fixed destination. It's just an ongoing pursuit. And when we steal this perspective from scientists, you're going to see that we are going to revolutionize the way that we converse, the way that we build relationships, and the way that we engage with the world. Now, here's where the scientific method comes in. And don't worry, I'm not going to turn this into a science lesson. I have since pivoted. But the way that we are going to apply the scientific method is by breaking it down into its most essential steps. And you're going to see that it is the perfect framework for how we form our conversations and hence our relationships. So first up, we have the observation stage. Observation is that initial moment when scientists recognize that there's something that they don't know nearly enough about yet, and they're going to figure it out. In conversation sense, that's that moment when you're chatting with somebody, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a new person that you're talking to, and all of a sudden those red flags go off in your head and you're realizing, oh man, there's tension and we do not agree about something. This doesn't necessarily mean that one of you is going to be right and one of you is going to be wrong. It just means that there is space to explore something. But now we're not done. Now we've just decided that there's an issue at hand. What we're going to do next is we are going to form a hypothesis. In science, a hypothesis is truly just an educated guess that is formed based on past opinions and what you think you know and you want to figure out more. I'm going to propose that we are going to treat our beliefs and our preformed opinions as hypotheses. Because when we hold our beliefs as something that we are willing to test, and that we think it was pretty well formed and based on education and past experiences, you're going to remove that intense feeling towards all of our beliefs. Instead, you are going to separate yourself a little bit and you are going to allow yourself to be opened up to new perspectives. So now that we've got our hypothesis or our beliefs, we're going to test them. And this is the experimentation phase. In science, after a scientist has observed and they've made their hypothesis, they're not done. They're not just going to sit on it. They're going to test it over and over and over again. They're going to hold trial after trial after trial. And for us, we're just going to hold conversation after conversation after conversation. We are going to be listening to new people and taking in new perspectives, and maybe we're going to change our hypothesis. Because let's be honest, how many times, if you've ever been in a lab, do you go in thinking you're going to prove something, only to realize maybe on the third trial, oh man, I was totally wrong. And that's okay. You just change what you wrote down in your notebook, and you're going to adjust it, and you're going to write that in your final report. And that's what we should be doing in our conversations. If we find out that maybe one of our close-held beliefs or hypotheses is no longer accurate, we're going to change what our final opinion is. And any good scientist, we hope, would do that as well. Our last step, though, is going to be the peer review process. Now, we've all been there, in science or not. I know if you're in college, you've been doing the discussion boards, and you're basically opening yourself up to public opinion. But peer review is essential because the truth is not found in isolation, and understanding isn't found in isolation either. It is discovered through collaboration, through experimentation, through adaptation, and through evolution. Once we find out how to understand other people, we've basically already solved it. Now, I'm not telling you that this switch in perspective is going to be easy. I'm basically asking you to rewire your brains in the face of crisis and confrontation. I struggle with it every single day, and I'm sure everybody else is going to. But we need to do this because when we look back at history, for centuries, we as humans have never sat comfortably in uncertainty. When we didn't know something, we created myths, we created stories, we created fables to explain what at the time was the unexplainable. But we are in the 21st century, and we are living in a time when our pursuit of certainty is dividing us more than it is bringing us together. And instead of seeking the truth, we need to be seeking each other. Now, when we adopt this new perspective, not only is one of us going to win in a conversation, but we all will. I don't think the pursuit of the truth and the pursuit of understanding are really all that different. Unless, of course, we're playing categories, then it is every man for himself. Sorry. Thank you.